Hello, this is Statler Smith. You are watching one installment of a weekly series where I write an essay about something that's on my mind, record myself speaking that essay, and then upload that video to YouTube. For reasons set forth in the initial video in this series, this is a practice for myself. As such, this video will likely not be entertaining or particularly educational. Perhaps one day I will have value to add to others, but in the words of Aragorn, King of Gondor, it is not this day. If you choose to keep watching, feel free to give feedback on the clarity of thought and speech, as that is what I am trying to improve. Please let me know if you have undergone a similar journey or have tips to share. And who knows, maybe I will eventually add more video editing. With that, let's get into this week's essay.
Hello. I've started the other playlist, Just a Guy Learning AI, name in progress, but I realized that I didn't want to give up the more reflective type of essays. This essay in particular will still be AI themed. That might not be the case for all future essays. Some will, some won't, but there will likely be an increase in the AI related essays as I learn more about it, practice it, etc. And honestly, this whole project, the AI learning AI, has made me stop and think about how AI will be changing my life. I recently attended a few trainings from my work about AI. They weren't hosted by my company, unfortunately. My company is not an early adopter of AI by any means, at least not in the internal audit space. um, it's a little frustrating for me, for sure, and that's part of why I'm learning about AI on my own. If I know that if I bury my head in the sand and wait for my corporate overlords to skill me with AI when the company is ready, I will end up with more than just my head buried in the sand. Um, my wife and kids will also be buried in the sand with me. And anyways, I think it'll be a valuable skill to learn. I'm excited to learn it. But anyways, I digress. How will AI be changing my life? I think the primary changes will be in my work and career, but I'm sure that I'll find other changes as well. AI is such a hot topic right now. So many people have so many different opinions. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, Diary of a CEO, Modern Wisdom, would recommend both. But it seems like every AI centered guest has a different take. All my family has a different take. All my friends have a different take about what the AI enabled future will look like. Um, and those opinions range from either doomsday to paradise, depending on who I talk to. On the fearful end of the spectrum are those who are convinced that AI will take people's jobs, unemployment will rise precipitously, and social upheaval is the inevitable result. Kind of a standard doom and gloom scenario. Some of the other reasons people are afraid of AI fall under other social issues: stronger echo chambers, less knowledge retention as we outsource critical thinking, all of that type of stuff that leads to a social environment that is increasingly at risk of being at each other's throats. Kind of like what social media did, but even more so. On the blissful end of the spectrum are those who are convinced that AI will take people's no, sorry, who expect on the other end of the spectrum are people who expect AI to solve all problems and create a utopia where we will all be on the beach drinking martinis. Productivity will increase at a rapid pace. We'll become much more capable, be able to do so many more things, and robots will do all the mundane work because that's what they're for. Computers will do all the desk work, and we'll be the beneficiaries of their efforts. To be fair, I've heard this type of viewpoint a lot less. Most of them are somewhere in the middle. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I listen to or that I hear of on the social medias believe that the entrepreneur life will be much easier. You'll be able to reach a lot more people, create a lot quicker, but that it will be using AI as a tool and that it won't take over the entire job, right? So there's a mix. But I've talked about what other people think. What do I think about this? My current role and my career at my job is that of a technology auditor. I work with business process teams to audit the technology aspect of their systems, of their processes. If there's an automated alert that a team relies on to make decisions, I look at the alert configuration to make sure that it is configured how they expect it to work. We look at a sample of a few to make sure that it aligns with that it actually happens. If there's a source of data sent from a vendor or even internally, how do they know that the information is complete and accurate? I look at the controls covering that type of stuff. I often describe my job as too technical for accountants. It's not, but a lot of them think it is. And too boring for web developers, which I absolutely agree. It is rather boring if you're familiar with the web development space, which is why I'm going into AI because I have a background in web development. Not too much, but college stuff. And so this puts me in an interesting spot. I don't think I still have the programming chops to become integral to an AI company, right? Maybe at one point, if I had um, if I had started into that, I probably could. If my first job out of college was a more of a technical programming job, I probably could have that. But it wasn't. And don't get me wrong, I believe that within a year, I could probably get my programming chops back up to where they used to be, just by doing like side projects and whatnot. But I think that with the experience that I have in auditing, there's a different niche I can fill. I am familiar with business processes, with business risk, right? I have a hunch that there's a population of people who are concerned with the risks that AI brings to the table, which is fair because there's a lot. So theoretically, I can position myself as a technology risk professional um, and help those who are reticent about AI adopt AI in a more reasonable sense than just putting it everywhere all the time. I can help come up with reasonable trainings for the employees, right? I can help with automating processes with the knowledge of those risks in place. Um, so I'm not like in the Wild West, ignoring any risk, but also I have enough experience to know what risks to cover and how to actually get it done. I can create that AI powered future. All this to say that I think I have a path forward in the AI enabled world. If we head towards this blissful existence, perhaps I'm worrying and working a bit more than I needed to. But if we head towards a technology-caused apocalypse, um, maybe I can keep afloat for a little bit longer than most and take care of my family for just a little bit longer. Um, I don't know what the timeline is for all of this. I have no idea, and I think anybody who does is kidding themselves. I think, yeah, I think anybody who knows exactly what the timeline will be is kidding themselves. And so I don't pretend to have a knowledge of what the timeline will be. I don't think I missed the mark, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's some considerations for my work and career. I'm sure that the business landscape will be wildly different in 10 years, and I'm interested to see what happens with it. But that's not the only facet of my life now, is it? At least that's what everybody says. um, as an ex Big Four, that's not the only facet of my life. What about my personal life, family life, and spiritual life? In my personal life, I expect that I'll have more time to spend with family in an AI-enabled world. Um, for me, I don't think the question is whether I will or won't be able to. It's whether I actually will. Will I choose to spend that time with family? I've heard from a few sources, and I agree, that AI will create a world where there are hyper consumers and hyper creators. For me, the largest risk and frankly, I think for all of us individually, is that we become hyper consumers. Social media is already fantastic at sucking our time and souls away, um, possibly more than work or anything else ever has, right? With an increase in the AI powered algorithms, social media and other forms of entertainment will be able to more effectively hit the reward centers in our brain that keep us glued to our screens. Um, all types of entertainment will become so much more tantalizing and tempting. Fewer and fewer people will be able to resist the pull of AI powered shorts, games, and other less savory methods of entertainment, perhaps OnlyFans on steroids. Um, Regardless, I think AI will enable me to have more discretionary time, but in the same stroke, of course, it will potentially take away the discretionary time that it offers me. If I'm able to resist the allure of AI entertainment, at least mostly, I think that AI will enable a dramatic shift and improvement in my life. Um, for example, improvements that AI can provide in the health sphere, incredible. I'm already using the AI within Apple's Fitness Plus. to track my workload for my workouts. Um, that has been a surprisingly effective motivator to keep me working out. I check it, and if my 7-day load is above my 28-day load, I feel great. If it's below, I'm like, well, got to get it back up. Um, Imagine what I could do with that if there's a similar training load, but for my diet, right? If I could, take a picture of I think this is already possible. I think somebody's already actually done it. Take a picture of your food. It creates the macros and whatnot that are in there. And then if you could track that, of course you could track it. But do a similar thing to the training load, but have the diet load where it says you are 28% more healthy, or you're eating 28% fewer carbs than in the last 7 days than you have in the past 28 days. Of course, I mean, that could be a tool that increases eating disorders, but it's a tool, and it would not cause the eating disorders. It just depends on how you use it. Anyways, I think it'd be great for me. So in the personal space, of course, I think it could be massively helpful for the personal health space. The relationship and family space is difficult, though. Substituting ChatGPT for heartfelt discussions with your partner is no path towards a stronger relationship. I know for sure that my wife doesn't want me to check with ChatGPT every time I need to respond to something. Um, so in that space, how can we use AI to foster a stronger relationship? And I think this is a similar issue to studying, and frankly, a spiritual life as well. When you're studying something, you need to do the mental load of actually putting the information in your head and going through the information retrieval process multiple times to actually learn it. The relationship is a similar concept here, where you need to put in the work for a relationship, right? I can't expect that a relationship will grow if I don't put in the work. um, and in the spiritual aspect of our life, right? How similar to relationships, how can I have a relationship with God if I don't put in the time for that, right? AI can't give me that relationship. But this isn't the first time we've had this issue. Anytime there's new technology, we're also in a situation where we don't want to lose the good parts of our previous life. The answer here might lie in the previous solutions we've identified as well. How did we maintain friendships in the age of social media? How did we learn in the age of YouTube? How did we connect with the divine in the age of convenience? I've used social media to set up in-person connections, which is where the actual connection happens, not on social media. I followed along with YouTube tutorials where it helps me to learn how to create by myself. A lot of this is enabled because I have access to YouTube. I've used the convenience of technology to help me listen to scriptures and connect with God in ways and places that I hadn't considered previously, right? All's left then is to brainstorm how these apply or similar to this or similar solutions with AI instead of the various technologies utilized previously. I'm going to focus specifically on relationships for this portion. How can AI be used in relationships to augment instead of starve the relationship? I have a few ideas. If there are tasks that keep you from each other, automate those tasks like grocery shopping, meal planning, budgeting, financial management, stuff like that. A lot of that household maintenance that is almost a job in and of itself can be automated or at least made easier through AI. You can customize a chat to give you relationship feedback. Ask for advice on a given situation. But don't use the output, of course, without reviewing it. You can practice difficult conversations with the voice feature. That's something that I've heard used. I haven't used it myself, but it seems interesting. You can plan a getaway or a different type of vacation with one of the chatbots. If you're not a romantic person, or you want to have some ideas for how to properly celebrate a birthday of your partner, you get some ideas from ChatGPT. For planning vacations, like for example, my wife and I want to see a lot of people when we go back to see our families because that's where we grew up. We have a lot of connections around there, and sometimes we don't get to everybody. So we can use ChatGPT or another LLM to create an itinerary for us to keep track of all the people that we want to see, so that to make sure we actually see them. You can kickstart conversations. Ask ChatGPT for personalized questions based on what you know about a person. That's particularly helpful for introverts like me. Um, and then one of the major issues in relationships comes down to money. You can use AI to make more money, to manage the money you have better, um, and solve some of those, or at least alleviate some of those money problems. Now, this is a lot more than I think I'll use, at least immediately, with AI. But in a nutshell, I do believe that AI will make my relationships better if I choose to use it to make my relationships better. And I think that's the same across most every other facet of life. AI has the potential to provide unprecedented progress, unprecedented leaps and bounds. But it also has the potential to sedate and immobilize each of us. It just depends on how we use it. So going back to the beginning, and I think that's just a common theme in this essay is that AI is going to have massive ramifications for the whole world. Um, I've talked through what those might be in my career, my personal life, family life, spiritual life. But the overarching sentiment is that those who use AI to augment their lives will find that this is such a high value tool, such a high leverage tool. But those who are used by AI will find themselves sucked deeper and deeper into loneliness, into their own echo chambers. I know where I want to be, and I'm working towards that. If you're interested in watching that AI journey, I'll link the playlist of my journey down below. I think it will be Just a Guy Learning AI. Kind of sounds cheesy. Maybe I'll have Gemini take a look at it and suggest a few other titles. Um, but it's been interesting so far. I've finished a few of the videos. A few of the I've started. I've taken the first two steps, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.